The men's rights movement is completely dead. The political right completely hijacked it. The men's rights movement was always too right wing for my taste, but at least there was some lip service given to moving beyond left versus right politics. Now there is zero lip service given to this, and the major figures of the men's rights movement enable right wing nut jobs. The epitome of a right wing enabler is none other than the biggest failure in the men's rights movement, Karen Straughan herself. Only a few days ago, Karen Straughan gave Tradcom PUA Sasha Daygame a soft, easy interview. She asked him no hard questions. She made no insights. 4 minutes into the interview, Sasha claimed that drunken sex at nightclubs is borderline rape. This is de facto a feminist position. Why not just suggest men walk around in high heels, flagellating themselves for the fact that women have periods? Later on, Sasha babbles nonsense about the feminine divine. Then he drools more nonsense about victims of crime, bringing it on themselves because they think bad thoughts. Men bad, women good. It was very hard to pay attention to Sasha's nonsense. It was just the same self-indulgent New Age spiritual vomit thrown around by would-be cult leaders and self-congratulatory hipsters. Sasha Daygame is a POA, but for some reason he calls himself an ex-POA. He just promotes lifestyle advice and nonsense like Daygame. He may as well call himself a neo-POA. Karen talked to this anti-male tradcon artist and said nothing to challenge his bad ideas, which were nothing more than typical male posturing, posing as therapy and guidance. Men want therapy, but are too ashamed to admit it. Such mentalities make them ripe for con artists to take advantage of. In the past, Karen also did a hangout with Rouge V. Douche V has stated he's anti-men's rights, and that men's rights is for losers. Douche, in his sex tours travel guides, has bragged about forcing sex on women and raping them. I personally do not believe his stories, as they sound like rape fantasy fan fiction. But that is besides the point. The point is that it damages the men's rights movement to have Karen associated with him. Karen is willing to smear the men's rights movement with the stink of douche, a right-wing extremist nutjob who is the very definition of pro-rape. Douche hates the concept of men's rights because he a real man, but because Karen has zero standards, she is willing to take flack for someone that is not only not an ally, but is hostile to men's rights. PUA is a fraud and a con based on the myth of male hyperagency. It is a con that offers men false hope, wastes their time and energy, and encourages men to play into toxic gender roles. Because it encourages men to fixate and obsess over women, and because it encourages men to pander to women. It makes men look servile to women, as men are begging for female attention. This is not even the worst of it. Karen did a hangout with right-wing racist nutjob Christopher Cantwell. If you look at the comments on that video section, you can see they're toxic as fuck, with nutters waffling on about race and IQ. Karen basically gave the right-wing racist nutter a soft interview, and right-winger nutjob saw it as a dog whistle. He swarmed in and hijacked and started waffling not only about race and IQ, but also Muslim rape hordes and the collapse of society. Karen, what the fuck are you doing? Are you serious about men's rights, or do you just want attention? Shit or get off the pot. Men do not need therapy. They do not need reassurance. They also do not need to hear asshats babbling on about masculinity. There's no crisis of masculinity. Men have always had a shit deal. Traditional gender roles have always benefited women at the expense of men. Men are not any different today than they were in the past. The problem with terms like masculinity is that they are too vague. Such terms lend themselves to con artists, willing to instill insecurity in men in order to get them to part with their money. Men need people willing to unapologetically explain the plight of men and to work on solutions. They must reject the yoke of hyperagency placed on them. Relationships are not the problem. The left is not the problem. Misandry is. Until men get some dignity and start demanding that they be treated as human beings, nothing will change. Women do not respect men because men do not respect themselves. Men must make demands aggressively. Men must learn to work with each other for their own good. Kieran Straughan just enables male passivity and false hope. She might think she's helping men, but she's not. She's not even entertaining them anymore. I honestly don't think most men want to hear this right-wing nonsense. Men that do will gravitate to right-wing spaces and stay there. Most right-wing men are not that interested in men's issues. They just use such issues as a wedge issue to discredit what they see as leftism. Karen's channel has declined greatly. For a channel with nearly 250,000 subs, Karen's channel is barely active. She hardly gets any views, and she hardly uploads any videos. I personally believe that Karen's channel decline started when she started doing hangouts with right-wing nutjobs around 2016. 2015 was when the alt-right rose to prominence. The alt-right got serious exposure when Donald Trump announced he would be running for president. It is no coincidence that both MGTOW and the MRA have completely disappeared from media attention, only to be replaced by the so-called incel phenomenon. The problem with right-wing politics is that it offers nothing new. Right-wingers just want to remain passive and waffle on about conspiracy theories and obsess about women and the family unit. They glorify a mythic past that never existed. All they can do is futilely resist social change brought about by technological progress. Normal people are going to see right-wing nutjobs posting nonsense about white genocide, leftist, Marxist corporations destroying the family unit, and they're going to leave. Any online space hijacked by nutjobs will repel normal people who are trying to be proactive. Karen's decline epitomizes what has happened to the men's rights movement. When Karen does a hangout with someone like Roosh V, she is enabling misandry, something that should be a no-no for a men's rights activist. Right-wing hijacking has repelled normal, potentially proactive men. Karen has just enabled this, and she helped destroy the men's rights movement. It is a time to rebuild the men's rights movement, and it starts with giving right-wingers the boot. It is up to pro-male men to rebuild. A new movement must arise that is nonpartisan but principled, and willing to do what it takes to achieve results.